Greetings and welcome to the training on Securely. My name is Dominique Harbor and I am your ETS. Today we'll be learning how to use Securely with your students. First, you may be asking, well, what exactly is Securely? Securely is a cloud-based web filtering tool that helps to keep your students safe by monitoring and restricting their internet usage. It is also used as a classroom management tool, allowing you as a teacher to manage and interact with your students' devices. Here is our agenda for this training. So first, we'll start by showing you how to log in. Then we'll go over your dashboard map. We'll take a look at the teacher settings. Then I'll show you how you can start a class. We'll go over the blue button options you have once you do start your class, as well as the individual student options. Then we'll go over using web links and using your block list. And then I'll provide you with some resources to reference as needed. Logging in. So first, you will navigate to the URL deviceconsole.securely.com. Then you will click on this blue button that says Sign in with Google. Be sure to log into your APS Google account. Once you have logged in, this is what your dashboard will look like. So down here you have what is called Teacher Tools, where you can explore all the innovative in-class learning tools like SiteLock, one-to-one chat, and more, which we will go over later. You also have web links, where you can create collections, create individual web links, and add web links to a custom block list. You also have content, which allows you to share content with your students. Up here, you have your help dropdown, where you can access support from Securely, and you can also access a classroom user's guide, which should have all the answers to your questions. To access your teacher settings, you'll click on the top here and you'll click on My Account. Once you do that, this screen will pull up. Your username will appear here. I don't recommend changing your password as you use your APS login. Here, you have your system. I will make sure that these two are checked. If you would like to change your display name, you can do so here. So for example, instead of saying my home name, I may want to just say Miss Harbor. And here are a few options that you can choose based upon your preferences. So you can enable notification sound for chat and hand raise. And what that just means is that a student will actually hear a sound when you send them a chat, and vice versa. When they send you a chat, you'll hear a sound, or when they raise their hand. If you want a sound to be played when a student enters class, you will keep this checked. And if you want to force chat window open, so that just means if you send a student a chat and you want it to open automatically, you will click that. The other option is if you don't click this, the chat feature will highlight on their screen and they'll have to click that highlighted chat icon in order to open up the message that you sent them. Now, starting a class. So to start a class, you will first click on the drop-down and select the class that you would like to start. Classes have been imported from Google Classroom, so you'll see any active Google Classrooms that you have, and you'll select that class. Once you select that class, you click Start Class, and you'll see these options here for your time. So if you want to set it for a certain time, you can do that. Or if you want it to just end at a certain time at the end of the school day, you can do that as well. And there are some more options here that you can go over and choose what it is that you would like to have for that class. Once you have chosen your settings for that class, you're going to look at your class list and deselect any students that are not present. So any absent students, just click on that check to deselect them. If you have students that may show up later, don't deselect them because you want to be able to see their activity when they do show up. And then you're going to go ahead and click Start Class, and that will start your class session. Let's talk about some best practices for your class options. So as I briefly mentioned earlier, only put in the time that you need here and not all day. So if you decide to do a length using minutes, you would enter that here. However, if you would like to put an end time in lieu of a length in minutes, you will put that time here, and that is the time that your class will end. Where it says Enforce Block List, you have the ability as a teacher to block sites that you have set up in advance. So you can create as many block lists as you want. However, you can only run one block list at a time, therefore only being able to enforce during that class time. So once you have made those previous block lists, if you click here, those lists that you made will appear and you will select the block list that you want to enforce for this class session. Here it says close all open tabs when class starts. So you have the option to, once you start your class, any tabs that students have open will automatically close and they will now be attentive to you and whatever it is that you push out to them or you assign them to do. And you have some additional options here. You can allow students to raise their hand, which I recommend, allow them to initiate teacher chat, which I also would recommend, and play a chat alert sound on their device. That just lets them know that when you have sent them a message, they'll be able to hear the notification sound. Once you start your class, here is where you will see screen view. So during your class, thumbnails of students' current screen behavior are visible. While they may have other tabs open, you'll only see the one in which they are currently on. Please note that there may be a short lag time to take a screenshot of what students are looking at. And so as you see here, each individual student, you can see what it is they are currently looking at. Additionally, you have the option for tab view. Tab view allows you to see all the tabs each student has open. And you can also close any inappropriate tabs or tabs they should not be on by clicking on the trash can next to that URL. While it doesn't block that URL, it will close it, allowing them to not have access to it at that time. So of course, if the student were to go back to that same URL, they could, but you can also just come back here and delete it again. This is a great view to see everything that a student has open on their device. Again, remember that it only shows the active screen the student is using. The pin button, which is what is green right here on the screen, allows you to bring students to the top of the list. The second button is the chat button, and this allows you to chat with the student. This can only be done from student to teacher and teacher to student. Students cannot chat with each other. This clock is the browsing history. So clicking on that lets you see sites they have actively been on or tried to get to. This last button, the eyeball, is the device view, and that gives you a view of the current screen of what the student is looking at, as well as the tabs that are open underneath that screen view. Now let's take a look at our blue button options, which appear at the top of the screen. So first, you want to select the students if you only want to use these buttons for particular students. Otherwise, just click on the button and it will apply for the whole class. Then choose your options. So you have screen lock, push URL, site lock, announce, release, and share screen. Select items to share if you are sharing any kind of content or screen with your students. Let's look at our blue button functions. Screen lock allows you to lock the screen of the student. So whatever they're on, it locks that screen and doesn't allow them to do anything else. Site lock allows you to lock their screen to certain sites. So any sites that you want to have the student go to, you would click site lock and choose those sites that you want the students to go to, which means they'll only be able to go to those selected sites that you have chosen for them. Clicking release allows you to release any active screen or site locks. Push URL allows you to push a URL out to your students, and they can click on it and they'll be able to go to that URL. Announce allows you to make an announcement to your students. So clicking on that will allow you to type in a message and it will appear as a pop-up on their screen. Once they read it, they can click OK to acknowledge they have read your announcement. And share screen allows you to do just that. Share your screen with your students. So now we'll take a deeper look at each of these functions. So screen lock. Click on the screen lock button to lock screens. So as you see, a message was typed, you have been locked out, and that is what will appear once you hit that screen lock button. That is a message that they will see. If you want to release that screen lock, simply click release and then click yes. Site lock allows you to create a set of sites that students are allowed to visit. So you will have to put these sites in ahead of time, or you can restrict to a single site and enter the URL there. Please note that if you are using Google Forms for a test, you don't want to use site lock as it will disable securely. Again, if you are using Google Forms as a test, please do not site lock. It will block all extensions and therefore block securely and mess things up. You'll then lose functionality of securely. A way to get around this is to limit students to only a certain number of tabs when you start the class. For instance, Google Classroom and Google Forms. Or you can simply push out the URL for the test. Push URL. Click this button to send all students a URL or selected students, and then click push URL for a group or single student. Announce. Clicking on this button allows you to create an announcement to send to the whole class, or a group of students, or just one student. Students will get a pop-up screen that you will be able to see in your screen view, or a bullhorn that you can see in tab view. And so here's an example of an announcement where the teacher says, remember to turn in your work. They will see that pop up on their screen and they must click OK to continue working on their device. Screen share. Clicking on this button allows you to share an entire screen, an application, or a Chrome tab. Click on the window you want to share and share. Simply click Stop Sharing Screen to stop sharing. And these are the options that you will see once you do begin your screen share. Lock students to screen share session. Broadcast audio during your session. And now let's look at our individual student options. So once you click on a student, you're able to see the history for that student, the command history, any saved screens, and your chat history. Please note that only the teacher or co-teachers will be able to see the chat. Chats will be logged, and the teacher can see it after class. Also, any location and organization admins can see the chat history after the class has ended. Web links. To create a web link, you would click here where it says web links, and you will click the Create button at the top of the web links list. You will then enter the URL that you would want. There will be a name and a description field. However, those are optional, so you do not have to fill those out. If you want to delete a web link that you've created, simply place a check mark in the box next to the web link. Then select the blue Delete button at the top of the table. Please note that web links may only be deleted by the owner of that link. You will be able to see everyone's links in the district. If you check the box next to My Links, then you'll be able to see only your links. Again, you can only edit or delete your own links. If you want to edit a link that is not yours or one in which you are not the owner, you can clone it and then edit it. Collections. Web links can be added to a group called a collection. A collection is represented by a folder in the web links list, with the URL column showing the number of sites in that collection. Links can belong to multiple collections. Block list. So teachers are able to create a customized block list of URLs for their class that can be enforced during a class session. You can create as many lists as you'd like. However, you can only enforce one list at a time when the class is started and only while running the class. You can add sites from recently closed, but these won't take effect until a new class session is started. And so remember earlier in this presentation, there was an option where when you click the Start Class button, you're able to enforce a block list. So any block list you created here, you would have the option of enforcing those lists before you start your class. APS IT InstructTech has created a website to help you with using and navigating securely. Please visit tinyaps.com/APS IT securely to access that site. In addition, Securely also has support in which you can search discussion topics and find resources to help you. You can visit that site at support.securely.com. Also, here is a Securely quick guide that you may want to save or print out to keep next to you when using Securely. So it just gives you your quick steps. First, you'll want to select your class, then you'll want to start your class. And it just has some notes for each of the functionalities that you can use when you start your class. This might be very useful to, again, print out and have next to you just as a quick guide for when you begin using Securely with your students. That's all. Please make sure that you complete the Google form to receive your credit for this training. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me for assistance. Thanks for watching.